Go. And today we are in Ascension with A Course in Miracles. This is episode 231. Always amazes me. I used to be amazed that we got to 100, then I was amazed that we got to 200, and now we're on our way to 300. So, and I love doing this, and I love that you guys show up and support this, and it's the kind of thing that, I just love getting these messages across, and that's why I created the Awareness Academy for anybody who wants to get more out of what's available in A Course in Miracles. And there's 3 different levels to meet everybody's budget, including free. And it's a kind of teaching that you got to stay with it. And what I've observed now that I've had almost 25 years under my belt in terms of being on a spiritual journey, and about 20 years of that as a teacher, and almost, let me be accurate, about 14 years of that with A Course in Miracles. What is so amazing is that now I have a perspective that is much more expanded. And when I'm observing other teachers of the course, not something that I do too often, but every now and again, some of them pop into my sphere. And I'm talking about regular people, not those who are channeling, because I've got those who channel that I absolutely love. Erin Michelle, Tina Louise, they channel Jesus's teaching specifically from A Course in Miracles, and it's beautiful and powerful. As a matter of fact, the latest Tina Louise just came out a few hours ago, and I was listening to that before started recording. And of course, I'll share that in the academy, because average teachers like me, we are learning what we're teaching. We haven't mastered any of this. I certainly don't consider myself a master, that's for sure. But I know that if Jesus could do it, I know I can. And that's who I look up to as the model of what I want to embody. And I don't want to be a teacher like him. I want to be one who lives it, because he taught what he was learning. And I now really understand what that means. The constant repetition is how I learn this. Every single time I hold a class, and I have lots of them every week, what I am sharing is what I am deepening within me. It just works that way. I remember when I first read that in the course, to teach is to learn, I thought, that's weird. People who teach is because they already know it. And boy, was I incorrect about that, because until you really, there's no end to becoming more loving, more peaceful, more joyful, more happy, more transparent, more clear. There's no ending to being able to experience that, because so much of the 3D experience is about becoming so dense, becoming so far removed from the truth of who we are. As a matter of fact, let me see where that chart is. Um, Here we go. We come into this world, and we come in, we choose to incarnate, and really to incarnate is to take on a body. But in truth, if you understand the teachings of the course, to incarnate is to imagine that you are a body. Very different. And this feels really real, just like in a dream. When a tiger was chasing me, I thought it was real. I felt the fear. I felt the sweat dripping as I'm running, and I'm looking at a tiger that's coming after me. It felt very, very real, but it was a dream. It was in my head. It was imagination. We are imagining that we have a body. We're imagining, and it feels extremely real. So the best that we are doing is waking up in the dream and acknowledging, I'm dreaming. This is all made up. It's in the mind of God. It's made up. I'm using my imagination. So incarnation is the experience of having a body when you don't really have a body. And then we learn how to forget who we really are. Our mind is filled with egoic information. That's what we learn. And the outside world does a great job of helping us learn that. And then we go on to try and control the world with that information, but it's all misinformation, because when you learn how to operate in the world, you're learning how to operate in how to pretend that the world is real while you are dreaming that you have a body. So when we start putting these pieces together, it makes, it used to make my head hurt when I would think, what? This is a dream. So I really don't have a body. It's all energy, it's consciousness, it's imagination. Like when I actually have a dream, when I close my eyes and imagine things, those things are not real. I used to be a realtor and I would go in and sell houses. And it was so easy for me to walk into a house because I've done so many of them. And actually, my college degree is in interior design. I could walk into any house and I would look at it and I imagined it completely, the inside completely different. In my mind, I knew. So, like when I bought a house for me and I was going to decorate it, I imagined it first and I knew what was going to go where. And then I would go buy the things that matched what I imagined and I would put it in place. And then, of course, it become real in my living room. But my imagination made it so real that I knew exactly what it was going to look like. And then I just had to put those pieces together. Well, basically, what has happened to us is that we imagined what it's going to be like to have this lifetime. That's why the Course tells us the script is written. We imagine it right before we experience it. It's like often I hear this from friends of mine who are artists. They see what they're going to paint first. They see they can hear the song before it's actually on paper. So those things happen before they come into life. If you talk to any scientist, they heard the formula. They saw the experiment happening and then they did it. Well, that's because imagination comes first. So we are imagining that we have a physical body. We call that an incarnation. And then we forget that's what it is. We're taught totally opposite of the truth. And then we control the world with that misinformation. So we've been looking at the chapter on empathy, chapter 16 in the course, the forgiveness of illusions. We have to make peace with that this is all made up. And that offends people. Early in the journey, that's who gets offended. What do you mean this is not real? My child's not real. My house is not real. My dog's not real. I'm not real. That sounds insane. Yes, to the insane, sanity sounds crazy. This is why we have to go on this journey and make ourselves sane. Watch what we're thinking and look at it through the lens of God, of the Holy Spirit, of truth, whatever you want to call it. And you contrast. I have a body. I'm not a body. I have a finite experience, birth to death, but I'm an eternal being. I was created, or I have created a world of limitations, of lack, of good and bad, of contrast. But in truth, everything is neutral. There is no such thing as good or bad. All is imagined. So how can it be good or bad? If it's in your imagination, how can it be good or bad? It just is. This is why, as we're moving on this journey and we move into the level of neutrality, we're coming to the heart. Neutrality means that's what's right there. Neutrality means I am learning to love everything equally. Well, the world has taught us to love conditionally. So everything is, well, I love you if you're good, but I don't love you if you're bad. I love you if you do nice things for me, but I don't love you if you do mean things to me. Everything is conditional. That's why we drop in frequency so that we're operating in guilt and shame and fear and all those emotions that are purely human. Those are not God. God does not give us emotions because emotions are dense, they're heavy, they are the experiences that are experienced here. Now, when you move into the higher frequencies of love, joy, and peace, those are not emotions. Those are feelings. Those that's something that you know within and you feel it. When you're actually happy, you don't go up and down like an emotion. Emotions are highs and lows. Emotion is energy, not in motion. All of our suppressed emotions our suppressed love, our suppressed anger that we couldn't process while we were being conditioned, while we were being told, stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. Boys don't cry. Just whatever. What was it my dad used to say? I think it was that saying that if, why are you crying? There's no reason to cry. Do you want me to give you something to cry about? So funny. So you hold in, you pull your breath as a little child when you hear a spanking is coming if you don't stop crying, and all of a sudden you're in anger, you're in upset, and you're pulling back your tears, you're pulling back your feelings. Well, that is what emotions are. Feelings that is nothing but a natural experience. You're probably being your happy-go-lucky self, and somebody told you, well, put your shoes on, it's time to go to school, and you're not ready to go to school. You're not ready to get in the car. You're not ready to go to grandma's. But you've got to do what you're being told because there are other people who appear to have more power than you. So all those feelings, your excitement while you're playing your game, all of a sudden turns into an energy that is not emotion. The joy that you're experiencing gets pushed down. What you want doesn't matter. What somebody else is telling you is more important matters. So you got to suppress who you really are, and then you got to put on a happy face, or you're going to get a spanking. And we all learned right from the first spanking that they never feel good. Even though our parents tell us this hurts me more than it hurts you. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Mom, let me have that belt. Let me have that shoe. Let me have that shoe with that high, skinny heel, and let me hit you, and let's see how that's hurting you more than it's hurting me. But it's what we get used to. So when we come to something like chapter 16, the forgiveness of illusions, this is something humans are not have a hard time doing. This requires that we become real masters of this work. We have to become a teacher of God, as it tells us in the manual. You're teaching what God is by feeling God within yourself, by accepting God within you, by activating within you the knowingness that God knows. All of this is made up. This is all imagined. Let's do the inner work to express those old emotions. That's what childhood work is. That's what shadow work, not quite shadow work, but the inner child work is to feel those old things that you didn't get to feel when you were a kid. To feel that anger that you had towards mom or dad or the principal or the neighbor, or it doesn't matter, your brother, your sister. To feel those feelings and not be judged for them so that you can feel comfortable being with whatever is showing up. How do you get to neutrality? Is when you let the good feelings, the stuffed emotions that were not good, the joy, the anger, when you let it all show up and you observe it, you become the presence of awareness, aware. Oh, that's the energy of anger. That's the energy of peace. Then you can move into neutrality because now you realize it's just all energy, labeled good or bad, happy or sad, labeled. So because that's just how we operate in this world. We have to label everything because we're not operating from the knowing of who we are in oneness, where we would be telepathic. So we label it and have languages and then begin to process it. The master teachers are the ones who recognize that this is a journey of expansion. You cannot get it done here. It is impossible. Why? Because you're never done here. You're an eternal being. Well, you may be done in this lifetime. You could say so and so passed away at 76. Well, they're done with this incarnation. They're done with this imagination of who they are as that being, and then they die at that age. But the soul that you are is eternal, forever expressing and expanding itself. There is no ending to what is possible when we're operating from the truth of who we are. So, to be able to become a master within this reality is to recognize that you are inside of a dream, and then you navigate it accordingly. Meaning, nothing out there can have power. It cannot have power over you if you're a master. You are the one that has power. Even like Jesus, who was crucified, appears that those outside said, hey, we're going to put you on a cross and we're going to nail you and we're going to take your life. Jesus was like, okay, it's just part of the script. What does it feel like to use that experience when you're operating from the heart and you're operating from neutrality? Well, what comes after that is there's a willingness to accept all things as equally valid, just as when you're doing a movie and the director is filming and there's a major storm and then there's going to be beautiful weather, just as when you're on a movie set and you're the actor and you're going to work in a horrendous storm that may take the life of a bunch of people that you're traveling with on a boat, and they're going to perish and you're the lone survivor, and then you end up on an island that's got gorgeous weather, it's beautiful. Well, you don't sit and judge as the actor or the director, this is good, this is bad. This is all necessary to create a movie, because nobody would go see a movie of an actor on the island with perfect weather. They walk in and that's what they're doing. Perfect weather. It's just beautiful. And then for 2 hours, you just watch them like you were, some kind of a peeping Tom. Watch them there sitting on the island for 2 hours, just enjoying the beautiful weather. Nobody would see that movie. We want to see the emotions. We want to see what's happening. We want the ups and the downs and how they overcome it. Well, in essence, it's just projecting into movies what our lives are like. We incarnate and have this experience. And again, I use that word because we're familiar with it, but we have an imagination that we have a physical body, and inside of this body, we have ups and downs that we have to overcome. That overcoming of those things show us how strong we are. And they provide us with information that allows us to then have empathy for others as they move through their lives' ups and downs. So the course is letting us know that when you begin the process of understanding what's happening, then you can move into the forgiveness of illusions. This is chapter 16 and 30 chapters. So this is halfway. You got to first understand the way the ego works. You got to understand what God is before you can begin to master the process of transcending that ego. We have to transcend the ego if we're going to be a master. We can't let the ego rule our lives. And the ego is nothing but thoughts that we begin to believe when we think the illusion is real. If you know the illusion is not real, it's a dream, you don't have those thoughts. Then you have transcended the ego. Now you are ascending to see things from a higher frequency, to see things with clarity, because you're not confused by the ups and downs of the emotions of the lower frequencies. Because if you have sadness, you find out somebody dies and you experience a moment of sadness, you have it. You don't push it down. You don't pretend, oh, I'm too spiritual, I can't let them see me be sad. And then you have that feeling and it moves through you. You recognize, okay, this is a dream. Nobody really died. No souls are ever hurt, ever in this illusion. Or I should say in reality, no soul is ever hurt. So somebody passes and you have that experience. Okay, you experience sadness, but it's not good, it's not bad, it's not, they didn't leave you and now you can't do life because they're gone. You get divorced and you have the sadness, or maybe you have the gladness, good, got rid of that, that bum. You have the emotion, and who you are is neutral, a neutral witness to everything that we have made up, because we were created to create. We were created by God. We were given the power of imagination. Imagination creates the projection of reality, of a perceived reality, and then we live it like that is it. If you've ever watched any of the sci-fi movies, or doesn't have to be sci-fi, I guess, anymore, but where you put on those goggles and you think you're somewhere, and I've watched people play this, and all of a sudden they're moving their arms like something is coming at them, and all they have is goggles on. Well, basically that's what we have. We've got these goggles on, and they're called our eyes. We're projecting things, pretending that they're out there, when in truth they are not out there. They're projected from within to give us the experience that we believe we want to have. And this is key. The experience that we want to have, like an actor Oh yeah, I want the role that's going to really stretch me. Let's go ahead and have some people stab me and hit me and kill my child, take my wife. Yes, I want to act it out. I want to go through all the emotions. I want to have the high of that wedding, and then I want to feel the lowest of the low when they take her or they do something terrible to her. An actor recognizes that this is made up. We are actors in our play thinking it's not a play. And that's the big difference. That's why we have actors in this illusion, because everything is a projection of who we are. So they are the ones who show us who we are. They're showing us that this is all made up. But we don't experience this perceived reality like an actor does. We believe that we are, it's coming at us, it's happening to us, not it's just a projection of what it is that I want to experience. Of course, you have to be further along in your journey, get to neutrality when you can begin to accept, okay, this is just informing me of what I wanted. I really wanted to have that. So when something happens in my life, and many things have happened in my life that were not enjoyable, I have learned to find joy in it. Wow, it gave me an opportunity to stretch. It gave me an opportunity to see something about me that I didn't know from my programming. I thought I was a people pleaser, and I realized, no, wait a second, I can stand for me. But I needed that experience to give me that reflection back of who I really am as a strong person. But I did not know that when my mind had been programmed into people pleasing. And this section is about recognizing that the more that you look at everything as an illusion, and at the very beginning, you've got to start just saying whatever feels most comfortable to you, because you got to ease your way into this work. If you tell your ego, okay, I'm not going to listen to you anymore on day one, then it's you're going to have a battle. You're going to feel schizophrenic because it's not going to stop talking. You have to begin to, in the beginning, befriend your ego. I say make ego your amigo, because you're going to observe it. You're going to watch it. You're going to see what it says. You're going to make a decision not to react so you can catch what it's saying. Oh, it's saying that I'm not good enough, or it's saying that I'm not capable, or it's saying that somebody is better than I am. It's saying those things. Then you've got to do the work of self-awareness. Is this really true? Well, according to God, it's not. Of course, I'm good enough. I'm worthy. I'm whole and perfect and complete. The course tells us so. If you believe the course, then if this is true, this cannot be true. You cannot have two opposing things be equally as true. Now, I'm talking about the level of awakening. At the level of the world, we have heard that, what Jesus tells us, we can sing the song, "This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine." We can sing that, we're amazing or whatever, and then also think that we're worthless. In the dream, you can do both. In the dream, you can have the actor play a joyful thing 1 minute and a very scary thing the next minute. You can have, because this is where we experience duality, you can have two things that appear to be equally as powerful. When you begin to ascend, when you begin to do this work, you realize that only one is real, and you begin to choose that one. That's how you move out of the suffering. That's how you move into the wisdom, because you begin to recognize what is true and you choose to let that be your experience. Until then, until you have that recognition that your choice of what you want to experience, then that's what begins to create. That's what your imagination begins to give power to. But that doesn't happen overnight. This is a freaking journey. Now things are accelerating now, so I'm working with some people that in 4 or 5 years they're getting things that took me 10. I'm watching some people in 1 year be able to work through certain things that took me 5. And it's okay, because right now we are being supported for the ascension. And as I've said, and I think I focused this mainly on, I think it was episode 227 or 228, I can't remember. It was the episode that I did about Christmas time. Um, I'm not gonna find that right now. 227, I think it was. And I showed how the world is splitting. We're moving into different, we're picking two different realities because those who want to operate from love are moving into a higher frequency. And those who want to operate from fear, and when I say want to, I know people look at me and go, Lina, who wants to be victimized? Who wants to be hurt? Who wants to be shot? The actor does. You're the actor. The actor wants to be shot. The actor wants to have that experience. Get comfortable with you are the actor. You are the one who chooses the performance that you're going to give. You are sent the script and you decide, I'll take it. Boom, incarnation. If you don't want the script, you're not here. You're not. You're never going to be in a script that you didn't choose. So making peace with acceptance is key. That's why acceptance is such a high frequency. You've got to get to neutrality first. And you can't there without courage. And you can't get to courage until you feel pride, meaning you begin to accept that you're worthy. When you begin to feel pride and accept that you're worthy, see, when you're descending, the pride of the ego says, I'm better than everybody else. I deserve better. I deserve more. Duality, more versus less, better versus worse. Well, that takes you down when you're operating with duality as your reality. When you are ascending, pride says, I am going to accept only what is true. This is why in the introduction of the Course in Miracles, it states very clearly, nothing real can be threatened. What you are is real and cannot be threatened because nothing unreal exists. This is where you begin to feel the peace of God. You begin to feel that pride that says, you know what, I'm going to go for peace. I'm going to go for that is what is real. Then you have to go into the courage of anything that is not that for you to decide that's not my reality. Yes, that's happening because now you're moving into neutrality. Neutrality says, I'm not going to judge it. It happened. I got shot. I got fired. Whatever happened. Neutrality says, I'm not going to judge it because if I don't judge it, I can sit as a witness to it. A witness is somebody who can observe. Now, instead of reacting to what happened, because in the lower frequencies, we are reacting. And look at the word react, reenact. We are reenacting the same old play, not knowing that we're in a play. So instead of reacting and doing the same thing over again, expecting a different result, the definition of insanity, right? You become a little more sane in acknowledging that you have a superpower given to you by God of discernment. You begin to observe, and an observer then responds to what is happening. And when you begin to respond, to be responding is to be responsible, meaning you're able to respond. When you start responding, you're taking responsibility. All these words match for a reason. You're becoming responsible for what you want to feel. And then you get the diagnosis, you get the notification that somebody that you love got, killed on a car accident. You respond. Okay, how do I want to experience this? How do I want to experience this? I want to experience it as a creator. Oh, wow, there comes some sadness. Let me allow the sadness to move. Why am I feeling sadness? Well, I'm in the 3D world. That's what happens in the 3D world. We're not going to deny what happens in the 3D world, but we're going to, as the Course tells us, deny that it has power over us, which is the right use of denial. I see it, it's happening. I'm not arguing with what's happening, but I am clear it has no power over me. But I'm feeling overcome by the sadness. I'm just going to be with it. In this moment, I'm not going to react. I'm not going to go talk to anybody about it. I'm going to sit here, feel what I'm feeling, acknowledge it, be grateful. This is part of incarnating in this life, in this experience. This is part of being Laina. Okay, let me be with it. Then I'm going to take responsibility for how I want to respond to it because I'm able to respond to it because I understand the game. I understand the process. I read the fine print in the contract before I took this part. The fine print said, I am with God where everything is one, where everything is eternal. I'm going to forget. I am going to take the amnesia pill. I'm going to forget who I am because if I don't forget who I am, I can't play this part that well. That's why actors, you can see a mediocre actor pretending to play a role and it's not that convincing. But I'll tell you, nobody plays Laina better than me because I took the amnesia pill, forgot who I am, so I can totally be in this role. You move over here, you feel what you feel, it informs you, and then you do that several times, you gain a wisdom that allows you to be in the world but not of it. You recognize that you are here, but you're not going to be responding or reacting to what's happening in the world. You're going to be able to respond. So over the last couple of weeks, we have looked at, last week was section, let's see, episode 230, and before that it was 229. I'm going to read a couple highlights of this first section called True Empathy. And the reason it's so important to understand true empathy is because are you going to look at everybody, one actor recognizing another actor, and they can see, and they probably get together afterwards and they'll say, you know what, that wasn't my best performance, and I really didn't give it my all. And they recognize, but I know I'm capable. I've played parts like this before. They're talking to each other as actors playing parts. True empathy is that you remind each other, you know what? I know you're down right now. I know you're feeling this experience. You just lost your brother and you're feeling sad, but I know you're a powerful creator and something is going to happen from this. There's a woman, I cannot remember, something to do with Billy Fingers. I can't remember the whole title of the book. But anyways, this woman lost her brother, and her brother came to her and told her to write a book about the what happens. He says, I died, but then all of a sudden I'm on the other side. And from this side, it's amazing. So she wrote this book. Again, I can't remember the title, but something Billy Fingers. It's short and it's amazing, where he's just describing the truth of who we are. Basically, you're down there suffering that I'm not there, but I'm actually right here with you. You don't need to suffer. So if you understand true empathy, you would say to that grieving sister, something amazing is going to come from this. In truth, we are all one. We're all connected. We never left our source. You can connect with him if you want to. But the empathy of the ego says, you poor thing, I can't believe you lost your brother. That's terrible. Oh my gosh, I cannot imagine the holidays without one of my siblings. How bad. You go down, 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 down in frequency and join them in the pity party. That's what the ego loves. Ego loves pity parties. Oh my God, it loves them because it feeds off of everybody's energy. It is like a hungry Pac-Man, just yum, 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 sadness, anger, irritation, aggravation, yum, 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 yum. It loves those lower frequencies. You move to this higher frequency. Most people can't handle that. Most people cannot handle the idea that I can move through this and something good can come of this, something amazing can come of this. Maybe there's a foundation, there's something I can set up, like the mother against drunk drivers. Her son got killed by a drunk driver. She started a movement. This was really popular back, I think it was the 90s or the 1980s. She started Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. You know how many lives, human, physical, ego lives were saved? Because she turned that pain after her grieving and she came to the place, okay, I'm going to do something with this. The people who start movements because they have a disease and then all of a sudden they become advocates to help people move through the healing process of a particular disease. All of that happens because everything that we think is a problem can be turned into an opportunity if we choose to respond instead of react to it. And then we discover strengths that we didn't know we had. But how could we know we had them if we don't go through that adversity? Because everything is here to put a mirror in front of us so that we can see, am I going to stay a victim of this forever? Or am I going to do something about this? And as you change, the image changes. You go from feeling bad for the terrible thing that happened, and all of a sudden you watch yourself growing and expanding and becoming a speaker about this thing and starting a foundation, and all of a sudden you're the person who used your situation to help humanity. The course tells us when we begin to get honest, that's why in the descriptions of the characteristics of a teacher of God, basically a master, honesty states that you don't do things for yourself anymore because you know that you are one with all that is. So everything you do is for the greater good of all. Honesty says, I am capable of taking the situation and responding to it. I am no longer reacting to it like an immature child, which is, you watch the news, you watch what's going on in the world today, all those people reacting to it and talking again the same thing and putting people down. All of those are immature beings. I don't care if they're 50 years old, they're 60 years old, they're 80 years old. They could be 100 years old. When you're reacting to a situation, you are operating like the wounded little kid that you were when you began to suppress your emotions. That's all that's happening because now you're attacking, you're projecting, you're attempting to utilize whatever position of power you have, even if it's just your mouth, and you're yelling at somebody else because you couldn't do it when you were 3 years old. Because if you yelled at daddy when daddy said, "Do you want me to give you something to cry about?" You would have been really crying because that hand would have been on your mouth faster than fast. And now you can yell at somebody because you're a politician or you're a news person or you're the parent, the head of the household. Now you can yell. You're acting like that wounded 3-year-old. That is to be reacting. When you look at true empathy, you're recognizing everybody's an actor playing a part. If they don't know that they're an actor, you can't point out to them how powerful they are because they're not going to appreciate it most likely in that moment. But within you, you get to, in your own mind, deny that they are a victim. In your own mind, you can acknowledge what happened and you can also recognize that they're a powerful creator playing that role. And everybody else that participated in that has a soul contract to have that experience. And again, if you're not at a stage of your journey where you can hear this because you're really upset about something that has happened to you, I get it. I get it. This is where honesty comes in. We have to acknowledge what level of consciousness are we at, and this corresponds to maturity, spiritual maturity. And most people who are here will not honestly tell you that they're there. Everybody thinks they're higher than they are. I did too. I did too. And then I realized, oh my gosh, how funny this is. So let me read a couple things from True Empathy to kind of bring us to the same page. And then we're going to start with paragraph 6. So in paragraph 1, it says, true empathy does not mean to join in suffering. For that is what you must refuse to understand. Refuse to understand that you cannot suffer. Get that out of your mind. You cannot suffer. If you want to awaken, you have to acknowledge that you cannot suffer. Your spirit cannot suffer. The human, the physical, that's not what we're talking about here. We are coming to recognize the truth of who we are as a powerful creator created in the image of God. Sentence number 3 says, the capacity to empathize is very useful to the Holy Spirit, provided you let him use it in his way. That means you begin to go inside. You're going to respond now instead of react. Now you say, Holy Spirit. You begin to cultivate a relationship with the voice of God in you. You begin to acknowledge, I'm learning that there is another way of doing things. I'm learning that I'm an actor. I'm not just a bystander that this happened to. You acknowledge you is like a third person. There's the you that is the observer, and then there's the ego, and there's the Holy Spirit. The ego is going to take you down. Holy Spirit's going to help you rise. So then you decide, do I want to go down and feel bad? Well, you may go down and feel bad and let it be okay. And then you can have a conversation with the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, since I don't know what anything is for, I don't see the big picture. That's part of honesty. Recognize you don't see it all. Because when you practice a characteristic of open-mindedness, you don't know it all. You don't have the big picture. We don't. None of us do. When we take the amnesia pill, we can't see past here. So, because I can't take the blinders off, because that's all that I can see in my human experience, Holy Spirit, you see everything else. What would you have me do? To respond requires that you spend time in contemplation, that you assess. Everything is cause and effect. There's a cause, there is an effect. What effect, meaning consequence? What consequence do I prefer to have? Do I want the consequence of aligning with God? And it could mean that that person, my partner, my friend, my whatever, may not want to be with me. I can deal with that consequence. If that's the result, if that's the effect of me aligning with God, that's okay. But I am not going to listen to the ego, because the consequence is maybe I'll hold on to that job or hold on to that person. But deep down inside, I'm holding on to them because I'm believing that I'm weak and I can't survive without them. I don't want to live with that belief that I'm weak and I have to do this so that I get to be okay. I prefer to be okay and be alone, because I know I'm not alone, because I already know that I'm one with all that is. So in your mind, you're moving yourself from the being the person who is subjected to the situation, or being the actor. How do I want to play this role? What do I want to experience? Is this worthy of an Oscar? And yes, we all get Oscars for our performance. But is this something that's going to stretch me or not? And you begin to look at everything that, I feel you, because I've been there. And it was not easy to listen to the voice of the Holy Spirit, because I wanted to do what the ego was telling me, because it's what everybody does. It's normal, but I don't want to do normal anymore. I want to do what is natural. As a child of God, I'm accepting my worth. I'm accepting my power. How do I now use it? But it has to be in service to the greater good. That's how you know it's part of the Holy Spirit, not the ego. Ego is selfish. It's all about me. Me first. Even if it says, oh no, I'm putting you first. Well, I'm putting you first so you won't leave me. So it's really not them first. It's really you first, disguised as them first. Listen, ego is very tricky. Then if we go down to in paragraph number 2 and sentence number 5, halfway through sentence number 5, the ego always empathizes to weaken, and to weaken is always an attack. That line is so crucial that we understand it, because if I think, you poor thing, this is terrible that this happened to you, I am weakening you by attacking you, by attacking your truth. You are the person shot. That's terrible. You cannot get past this. Versus, no, you're the actor who chose to be shot. Very, very different. The energy is very different. You're the actor who chose to be shot. If you want a different effect, a different consequence, what's the next step that we need to take to get you to where you want to be? The ego is always going to weaken everybody by attacking everybody, attacking their character. Again, watch the news. The first thing, it used to be that you would get the information and you could make the decision about what was happening. Now they tell you what happened, and they want to control your feelings and emotions. Because if you get all worked up, well, you're going to need to go buy more antidepressants. You're going to need to go buy more beer. You're going to need to go get a drink or something. And that's going to fund the advertisers who pay for that news person who is controlling your emotions. Because when you understand psychology, you understand how everything that the ego does is a form of attack on all of us. It is finding our weak spots so that we will do the thing that the ego needs us to do. And the ego, when it moves to positions of power, there's only two things: money and power, money and control, money and the ability to manipulate. That's what it does. So it's going to play with our emotions, because we're going to not want to feel them. Why? Because we learned that when we were little not to feel. As an adult, are we going to feel them? No, we can go to the bar and get a drink, or heck, we can drink at home. We're going to find a way to make sure that we suppress. Why? Because that's what we have been taught to do. This country has the highest rates of depression. I remember reading something and it blew me away. It was crazy number, like in the 60% of people operate with some level of depression, not knowing that depression is that they have pressed down their holiness. They can't access the holiness because between them and their holiness, they have create so many obstacles to feeling their truth, and they can't get to the truth of who they are until they begin to feel those obstacles. And thank goodness you don't have to feel them all, but you have to feel the essence of each one of these lies that you've been telling yourself. I'm not good enough. I'm not capable. I'm a disappointment. I'm not, I don't measure up. Whatever those lies are, we've got to find them. And then it tells us in sentence number 7, still in paragraph 2, yet of this you may be sure, if you will merely sit quietly by and let the Holy Spirit relate through you, you will empathize with strength and will gain in strength and not weakness. And this is where you begin to hear the Holy Spirit. Okay, my brother, my sister, they're playing a role. They chose to have that contract. They're doing what they're doing. I'm not going to say that they are a victim or that they're a bully. I'm going to acknowledge the powerful essence of the spirit in them. And now I may not say this to them because if they can't hear it, what's the point of saying something that it's going to offend them or make them angry? I'm just going to hear what the Holy Spirit says. And I'm going to know that that is the truth in my mind. Why? Because my imagination creates my reality. So they may not be able to hear it, but in my mind, I know that they are powerful. So I'm looking at the world through the eyes of the Holy Spirit, and I'm not focusing on what's on the screen and calling that reality. I'm calling reality what is being projected from my mind when I look at it with the Holy Spirit. And then it takes us into that beautiful statement that when we can focus our mind on this in paragraph 10, this is sentence 10. I'm sorry, paragraph 3, sentence 10. I am not alone, and I will not intrude the past upon my guest, meaning the Holy Spirit. I'm not going to tell the Holy Spirit, yes, but look at what happened. No, 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 no. I'm not going to bring that on. I'm going to be right now listening to what the Holy Spirit is telling me. 11, I have invited him and he is here. I need do nothing except not interfere. Holy Spirit's telling me they are powerful. They're a child of God. They are creators just like you are. I'm not going to interfere on that. I'm not going to say, but they just got shot. But they just got robbed. But look what happened to them when they were 10. Their dad left when they were 10. I know it because I failed that. I know because my dad left when I was 10. That is to attack them and weaken them. Oh, just because mommy or daddy left, that means that they can't handle things? You're bringing the past and overlaying it on a powerful, holy creator playing a part. What if they needed to get shot? What if they needed to go through what they went through? And sometimes getting shot means you exit the stage. And when you exit the stage, well, where do you go? Back to the source. What do you get to do? Have another experience, have another incarnation. Why do we get so upset when people leave? It's strictly exiting the stage. They're done with that part. We don't cry and boo-hoo when an actor leaves the stage. They're done with a performance. But death here, we've turned it, especially in the West. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. We're lost without them, if you want to be. And this is the part of the truth that sets us free, is that it is so, you got to have a level of maturity to be able to handle it. You have to have a level of understanding of what's happening here to be able to take what is happening and not turn it into a personal thing. It's not against you. Why? Because God's not against us. We have chosen to utilize our superpowers of imagination, imagine something, imagine the dream, and believe that we're in that dream and we're living it out as if that dream is real. Well, we're going to have to go through the consequences of all of that. Because how do you exit the dream? You die. That's how you exit the dream, or you wake up. That's it. You have to wake up in the dream so you can be in it but not of it, or you're going to die so you can get out. Wouldn't we be celebrating everybody that dies then? Oh my gosh, they're done with this performance and they get an Oscar. So what if they get it posthumously? We have to understand the truth that will set us free so that we can then be alive. The Course is really clear. Do you want to be alive and really be alive? Or do you want to have a body that appears to be alive, but you're dead inside? You're operating in fear. You're not showing up. You're not living fully. That's why there's a line in the Course, and I believe Jesus is the one who said it, where he said, "Let the dead bury the dead." And I remember reading that going, the dead bury, how can the dead bury the dead? Well, those who are dead inside, let them bury the bodies who have died. Because those who are alive inside are not going to a funeral to be sad. They recognize true empathy. Ooh, that actor is complete with this part. So let's go to paragraph number 6. The meaning of love is lost in any relationship that looks to weakness and hopes to find love there. Whew. The power of love, which is its meaning love is very powerful, lies in the strength of God that hovers over it and blesses it silently by enveloping it in healing wings. That is just so beautiful. Let me read this again. The meaning of love is lost in any relationship that looks to weakness and hopes to find love there. When in relationships we insult each other, we let each other know what we did wrong. We're constantly pointing fingers. I was listening to my one of my sisters and her husband, and oh, it was amazing. But the jabs, it's just constant. I'm like, oh wow, I used to do that too. Used to, you want to let them know, well, I wouldn't have done that. Well, that's only the third time that you've done that today or in this hour or whatever. It does those constant little things that weaken love and makes us put our guards up. But the meaning of love is lost in any relationship that looks to weakness and hopes to find love there. The power of love, which is its meaning, that is so powerful. Love is power, lies in the strength of God that hovers over it and blesses it silently by enveloping it in healing wings. Healing wings means that we have to heal our wounded self. We have to go inside and do the work of healing the places within us where we still believe that we're weak, we're victims, we're not good enough. No, you're not. You're playing the role of victim. You're playing the role of being weak. When you understand this, something shifts, something awakens. What? I can do it differently? Yes, any moment you want to. But you have to have the courage. You have to have the courage. Courage means you got to come into the heart. You got to love yourself enough to deserve better. See, when we play the games of depression and I'm not good enough and victim, it's because we haven't accessed love. Why? We're weakening ourselves. Well, I can't do this and I can't do that. Yes, you could if you wanted to, but you're choosing not to. When you begin to play that tape in your head, I'm choosing to feel bad. Huh. Well, what would I prefer to feel instead? Oh, I would prefer to feel better. Then what do I need to do to feel better? Well, I would need to get up and shower and do this and get ready and get dressed or send my resume, show up. Oh, that would make me feel better. Then why am I doing the steps that are making me feel bad? Is somebody holding a gun to my head telling me I have to do that? Somebody telling me I can't get up and I can't get dressed and I can't get going and I can't write my resume? Is somebody doing that to you? Usually you're not going to find anybody like that. I mean, you might be in prison and you may be on a schedule and they can control what you do physically. They still can't control what you think. So the healing, we're being enveloped by healing wings. The Holy Spirit is ready to help us go through this journey. None of us go through this journey alone. We go with mighty companions that assist us in the healing of everything that is unlike love. But we have to be willing to look at those obstacles to love. And that's all they are, is things that we have believed, experiences that we have, information in our mind that blocks us from seeing the truth that has always been there, the truth that has always been the truth. We took the amnesia pill to forget the truth, but it didn't make the truth go away. It just meant we couldn't access it. Until we begin to use everything as an opportunity to access it, everything is an opportunity to return to the truth of who we are. Sentence 3, let this be, and do not try to substitute your miracles for this. Meaning, don't let the ego try and convince you that you know how to do this better. I have said that if a brother asks a foolish thing of you, to do it. But be certain that this does not mean to do a foolish thing that would hurt either him or you. For what would hurt one will hurt the other. I'm going to unpack this in a second. Foolish requests are foolish merely because they conflict. Foolish requests are foolish merely because they conflict, since they always contain some element of specialness. When you understand specialness, the ego operates with special love, special hate. And let me read this again where it says, I have said, this is Jesus talking, I have said that if a brother asks a foolish thing of you, to do it. So if a brother or a sister, if somebody asks you, oh, let's go get drunk, and it's a foolish thing, well, go do it. Go get drunk. It's okay. And then it says, but be certain that this does not mean to do a foolish thing that would hurt either him or you, for what would hurt one will hurt the other. So you get drunk the next day, don't blame it on the bottle. Don't blame it on the addiction. Don't blame it on the bartender or the cute person who said, oh, have another one. Don't blame that. That would be foolish to blame it on somebody else. We are being told in this world, we're going to do lots of foolish things. We're going to marry somebody that we really weren't in love with. But we decided, oh, but this is going to look good. You know, my family loves this person. They have a lot of money. They have, they adore me. I'll learn to love them. Whatever it is we've done, all of us have done some level of specialness that wasn't real unconditional love. I know I have in my relationships. Looking back, oh, I can see it. I can see it. We are being told when you begin to recognize what is foolish and what is not, do the foolish thing. Go with somebody and your friend wants to go shopping and they're going to max out their credit cards. Sure, that dress looks great on you. That outfit looks fabulous on you. Or that vacation, yeah, you deserve it. Join them in the foolish thing that they may be wanting to do, but don't look at them as a victim. Don't look at them as somebody who's powerless. Look at them as somebody who is powerful, choosing to do that. Oh, they're going to buy another thing, and they don't have space for another thing. All right, you can do that. Inside of you, know the truth of who they are. Do not empathize to weaken, because that is to attack them, but rather say, hey, you're a powerful creator. You don't have the money for that. You'll figure it out. It's like my son doing drugs. Hey, you say you don't want to be drunk, but you got drunk again. Guess what? You'll figure it out. You must have wanted to do that. And I joined my son in foolish things, meaning I didn't stop him from doing his drugging. Because I said to him, I don't need to join you, but I'm not going to stop you from doing what you're doing. But on the other side of this, let's talk about why you did it. Because you're a powerful creator, you're utilizing your power. This must be what you wanted to experience. No, Mom, I didn't want to experience, a hangover. Well, are you having a hangover? Yes. Who put the booze and who put the drugs in your mouth? Who put that in you? Well, but my friends were all cheering me on. Okay, who put it in your mouth? Well, I did. Well, then you must have wanted a hangover. So you do that foolish thing, but I'm not going to join you in thinking that you're a foolish person. You're a powerful person choosing to do these things. Very different, because I'm not looking for special love. Oh, my sweet baby. Yes, it was everybody else's fault. And weaken him by attacking him and telling him, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. That you let other people run your life? Oh, you poor thing. No, I'm going to tell him the truth. You're powerful. And if you don't want to have that experience, then come up with what it is that you prefer to have, and move in that direction. And when you stumble, it's okay. We all do. We have the power of forgiveness to deal with that. We have lots of things to help us along this journey, but don't join people in anything that hurts them. And it is hurtful. It is damaging to tell them that they are not capable of doing things differently. It is not loving to say, you poor thing. I just wrote a newsletter about that. Here we're talking about it again. Who we are is powerful. To acknowledge our power is not what this world wants us to do. That doesn't sell advertising for the thing that will help you feel stronger. If we all knew we were strong, we would buy 95% of that shit they sell us on television and in commercials. One is to make you feel better and inflate you, and the lipstick and the implants or the whatever, so you feel better about yourself. Or, well, let's give you the pills to make you feel better about yourself, so you don't feel your pain, so you don't have to feel the suffering. My sweet family here. So we are in a place where we have to choose, what is it that we want to believe? Those who are waking up are choosing to consciously believe the truth of who they are, and they ground themselves in the truth, even though it takes time to really solidify that foundation. Or we're choosing to operate in the dream and continue to be asleep, and that's okay. The dead will bury the dead, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Why? Because it's all imagination. That's why it does not affect creation. It's not expanding it on this planet, but it is not affecting it. That is why we're in a timeline split. Do you want to remain asleep, or do you want to wake up? If you want to wake up, you're going to do things based on true love and true empathy. And those people in time, because it's going to take a little bit of what appears to be time, we're going to see a world changing drastically. And I'll tell you, prepare yourself. I've been warning people since about 2017. I got the videos on my YouTube channel to prove it, warning people that the systems are crumbling, because what the ego built on selfishness and greed and hungriness for more and more money and more power has to collapse. Why? Because too many of us are not buying into that. Too many of us are not taking those pills. We're not taking those shots. We're not buying into those systems. We're not going to those churches that sold us a religion that said God's outside of us. We are coming into the recognitions of the truth that are inside of us. And when you do that, you practice what the Course teaches. I am under no laws but God's. When you are under no laws but God's, advertising is not going to work on you. And that confusion of who you are as a part, a role that is being played, or the actor playing the role, will go away. You will know the truth of who you are. You will take back your power, and you will act accordingly. Sentence number 7 says in paragraph 6, only the Holy Spirit recognizes foolish needs as well as real ones, and he will teach you how to meet both without losing either. When Spencer was doing drugs, man, that was one of the greatest times of my life. The greatest growth that I feel I experienced happened in two places. One, when I began to do my inner child work, and I began to recognize that I created a whole story around my dad and being unwanted and being a disappointment to him. He wanted a son, and I came out a girl. And then he left. I was born in the middle of a blizzard. I was actually born in New York, even though I lived in the Dominican from 3 months on. And I was born in the middle of a blizzard. And he was so upset when he came to the church or to the hospital. And I wasn't going to be Joe. I didn't have a dingling. So he left angry. And I've heard that I heard these stories. They used to tell me like it was so exciting to tell these stories about. And Joe left the hospital and he went to the nearest bar, and we didn't see him for 3 days. And I'm like, oh, okay. Why did he go to the bar? Well, because you weren't a boy. So I grew up thinking I was a disappointment. And then my dad leaves when I'm 10, brought the story full circle. And then all of a sudden I go, oh, it's because I wasn't a boy. And I'm telling you, if I'd have been experiencing that today, Somebody would have sent me to get transgender surgery done. We're going to turn her into a boy. She really wants to be a boy. But I was just didn't know how to process the disappointment. If I would have been a boy, dad would have stayed because I didn't understand that the only reason dad was disappointed when I was born is because in his mind, he needed to have a son, that was going to make him something. I didn't know that. I was just born, and I'm born the wrong gender for my dad to be happy. So I thought he would be happy if I was the right gender. And then I tried to be a tomboy. It just didn't really work for me. I was so girly girl, but I tried so hard to make sure my dad was happy with me. And it never, ever paid off. He loved my older sister more than me. Even later on in life, it was like so clear. He really didn't want a whole lot to do with me. And that's okay. When I made peace with that, when I started doing the work over here and I started to see why is it that I people please? Oh, I'm trying to control them into not leaving me. What a foolish thing to do. So today when I work with somebody or have worked with somebody who is attempting to people please their spouse so that they won't leave them, I can see the foolishness in that. Believing in specialness that if I'll be okay if they love me. So what do I help them do? Is let's take an inventory of what you're thinking and who does God see you as? If they don't want you, do you not want you? Do you not want to know who you are so you can tap into the truth of who you are and live from that? Because if you find the truth of who you are and you shine that light, guess what? This person may not be able to stay with you, but you'll attract somebody who might. And I'm very clear. My frequency will attract the perfect partner. And because I'm eternal, if not in this lifetime, the next one, I got plenty of patience. It doesn't have to happen now. But when it happens, it will be perfect because it's a frequency match. I don't want another partner that hasn't done their inner work so that my confidence triggers their lack of confidence. I've already had that. So you begin to recognize the foolish patterns of the ego. Everything is done to attack, to minimize. But when you move into true empathy and you recognize the powerful in each other and you realize, oh, wow, you're so powerful. You're playing the role of powerless. Wow, amazing. You're so powerful. You're playing the role of victim. You're so powerful that you're playing, the role of controller. Very interesting. You can do that from wisdom because in wisdom, you've been around the block enough and you've seen how this game works. You've already played in quite a few movies and you know how Hollywood works. You're onto the game. Now you're playing this game, not only with the ability to respond, because you're taking responsibility for what you want to experience. And from that place, you see the patterns of the game. You don't feed them anymore. You observe them and you pull your energy from them when you get bored with the same old stuff happening over and over again. For me, that's why I don't want to be part of the 3D world. I do not support anything or is very, very little because so much is still intertwined that supports greed and selfishness and the deliberate abuse of others. I don't. If I'm consciously aware of that, I do not support those brands. I do not participate in that. But I don't go march against it either. I don't use my energy for that. What do? I'm supporting those who have gained the wisdom of doing things that are for the greater good of all. There's plenty of them out there. They're everywhere. But you have to have the ears to hear it and the eyes to see it. If you're focusing over here, this is like pie in the sky. No, that's never going to happen. It's going to take generations before we get there. No, it's happening. It's happening. But while the dead are busy burying the dead, those who are alive are coming up with new things that are in service to, the aliveness of humanity. This section about true empathy is really an important section because it is all about recognizing that you cannot see the light in another until you've turned yours on. and not even turned it on. It's always been on until you remove the obstacles to it, until you let go that there's something wrong with you, that there's, you're the wrong, you came out the wrong gender to make your parent happy. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with any one of us. Deformities, that's part of your brilliance. Born with limitations of some kind of a physical, those are all part of your brilliance. I've got a precious little grandniece, my sister's granddaughter, who spent the first year of her life in NICU, in intensive NICU, because she was born so premature. They called her a what was it, a macro preemie, because she was the smallest of the smallest that has ever survived. And I mean, at that hospital, they never had anybody that was so little. She wasn't even a pound. So her lungs were not fully formed. She just turned 2 not long ago. She still has a trach, a tube that has been giving her oxygen since pretty much since she was born. Can you imagine? A teeny little baby that you have to put a tube into her. She's been fed by a feeding tube her whole life, over 2 years. So she doesn't quite know how to eat. And her body just couldn't fully develop. So her proportions are a little bit off. Her head is super big because they have to pump so much oxygen into her to keep this open for the tube, the size of tube. They never had a tube that was that little. So it's really amazing. So I look at this little girl, and some people go, "Oh, poor thing." Not me. And pretty much her whole family. Everybody goes, "No, this is a warrior. This girl chose an incredible role to come in and play that I'm almost not going to make it." And her whole family went on this crazy roller coaster of emotions all this year. And I was able to stay steady. Because what I saw was a powerful being who came in to show other powerful beings how powerful they were, whether they recognized it or not, that's up to them. Everybody playing a role because they have a soul contracts. And now I'm listening to that nephew and his wife talking about the things that they have been able to accomplish they never imagined they could have accomplished. That little girl who came in playing the role of preemie and in the hospital, and actually I got to check in on them. They were all these doctors that were coming from around the country, all these specialists to this children's hospital were doing all kinds of procedures on her yesterday. Parents didn't want to have all, 3, 4, 5 appointments. They wanted them all at one time. So she's under sedation once to get the results of that, to because these parents have found strengths within them that they never would have had if they would have had just a normal little girl, and life would have just gone on. And I say normal with quotations because she is perfect. And then I have to be normal. The natural essence of our power is within us from the get-go. We come with it. As a matter of fact, is what comes here. Spirit is what comes here. And then has that in that imagination of separation, we pretend to be other than what we are, and it all feels really real, but it's all made up. And that's the beautiful thing when you begin to understand if it's made up, then I can change it. Now, it's not that you're going to change a lot of what's going on there, that you can't change other people's dreams that are all projected on the same screen, but you will change how you perceive it. And when you change how you perceive it, you move back from it, you observe it. And as an observer, then you can respond. And as one who's responding, you get to choose. Do you want more of the low frequency stuff, or you want to move into where the new is being co-created? It's very exciting to be co-creating something new with people who are deliberately wanting to do what's for the greater good of all. And with that, I thank you for being here. It's always such a pleasure to share these amazing things. And I have the Awareness Academy. If you want to join us for more of these conversations and we dive into the course, why? Because I love it, and it's just what I love doing. It's what I was born to do. I chose the role of being a Course in Miracles teacher in this movie that I'm playing in. But it's fun because I'm a Course in Miracles student first and foremost. If anybody wants to unmute yourself and share that you get any nuggets, by all means do so. And if not, I will see you all whenever I see you next time. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. See you guys maybe next week, the next episode. Love you all. Bye bye.